Welcome to Under the Lens. Come and enjoy an extraordinary, raw, and unfiltered podcast that delivers debate, discussions, and interviews about film, pop culture, and everything in between. Here is your host, film critic and journalist, Byron Lafayette.
Greetings. It was my pleasure to sit down with stage and film actor Yurel Echezarreta. Yurel is a Broadway veteran, having spent 12 years in New York City, making his Broadway debut when he was cast in the 2008 revival of West Side Story. He went on to appear in Matilda, Disney's Aladdin, Head Over Heels, and most recently the Tony Award-winning Moulin Rouge. Yurel and I spoke about his experiences working with the legendary director Steven Speilberg, what made him want to become an actor, and his work in the Pasadena Playhouse's reimagining of Head Over Heels. I truly hope you enjoy this interview.
All right, so I'll just jump right in here. Again, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. Also, I'd like to congratulate you on the success so far of West Side Story. I mean, last time I saw it was at like 96% positive on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, Box Office Pro is predicting a pretty large opening for it, so I think it's going to be a very successful picture. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. It's pretty surreal for it to be coming out, for it to be getting to be so well received. It's really special.
Oh, I bet, man. Well, going back a little bit, but what got you interested and started in pursuing, like acting, both on the screen and the stage?
It was wild. When I was a kid in the elementary school, I would get into the talent show. I was the lead in the Christmas musical. However, I would quit right before doing the thing. I was so shy. I felt like I was taking in the world. Then middle school happened. I was playing sports. I was in the band. And then I started to sing the national anthem for our band concerts. So that was when I was really being brave and going out there. I did a talent show. And I was I did this little boy group. I think it was NSYNC, it's gonna be May. I was just living that fantasy and actually starting to sing and be brave enough to do it. And then I remember the summer between my freshman and sophomore year in high school, I did my first musical, and that was it. Singing, dancing, acting at the same time in front of an audience with a peer of cast mates and other performers. I was oh, I love this. And I completely took a switch. I switched to an arts high school. I was oh, Broadway? Okay, I'm going to go do that then. And I want to leave Florida and go to a university for musical theater. Okay, I'm going to do that. So my whole life took a right turn, a left turn, whatever you want to call it, toward performing. And that's how I found it.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's an amazing story. Also, when it comes to West Side Story and stuff, you were in the stage production of it as well as now the theatrical, which is very, very cool. It gives you, I think, a very unique perspective versus, probably some other performers. And so, having that unique view, were there any challenges or any difficulties that you encountered going from stage to screen?
Yeah, it was wild. I was in the 2009 Broadway revival with Arthur Lawrence, who had written the script back in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
And he was the director. He was 90 years old.
Oh.
So to jump 10 years later and be doing the film readaptation by Steven Speilberg, I mean, it's just been a blessing. It's been a wild ride to be doing this show, this in so many different ways with so many legends. I mean, my goodness. I think, for stage, sometimes I remember on Broadway, it was a 1,700 seat theater, the Palace Theater, and a huge high mezzanine, a double mezzanine, then a balcony. And you really have to pump your energy out there, and your body language has to share different things, to be able to convey the story to those back row seats, those seats up in the rafters. And the thing for camera, luckily the time that I was auditioning for the movie, I was in a film and TV class. So I was able to get, my material coached, and, it's so different. I mean, from frame to frame, from one frame to the next on camera, the audience, that the non-performer at home watching, they can tell if they don't buy something, because for film and TV, it's like you and I right here, right now. It's like a person right in front of my face. You're talking to them. Like, you can tell if someone's being authentic or not. So for theater, you have to be a little bit larger than life. You have to carry yourself away. You have to project your voice. For camera, you don't have to do all that stuff. What's nice is like, you can be big in your energy, loud in your voice, if the circumstances support that in the story. But if it don't, then don't be doing that. And then also for camera, you can be as subtle and intimate as it needs to be for that supports the circumstances. So it really was a checking in constantly of like, where am I? Where's my energy? Having to be very aware and also free. And also vibing off of my other castmates. Like, we all had to play off of each other's emotions and each other's actions, and we kept each other in check.
Man, that's awesome. What was the casting process like of, like starting at the beginning to getting that phone call?
So I had already done my 5th Broadway show in New York City. I was there 10 years. I was established with my agency, and I believe they received the audition, and they, relayed it to me, and I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, let's do this audition. Who's on that team? Wow. Yeah. So I went in, and I believe I went to 3 auditions. I think I had about 3 auditions, and it was so wild because the audition experience was such a hybrid. We were at a big dance studio, usually how Broadway auditions are held. You go in there, you act, maybe there's a camera in the corner, just to document, but you have your creative team in front of you, and that's about it. Here you came in and you had all that. However, for Steven's acting audition, Steven Speilberg right there sitting watching me do my thing. And then he brought in a cameraman with a full on camera, just boom, and just in my face. And I was like, whoa, I was like, this is different. I was like, I'm not just auditioning and having someone watch me. That is happening, but I'm also having to incorporate and tell a story right in that moment with the camera, being authentic. And that was one of the biggest shifts for the audition process. Then we went in, we did lots of group dancing for America, for Prologue, and even partner dancing for Dance at the Gym. So I danced with another lady, a few other ladies, and they would take the people that were interested in one by one into the dance space and give us notes and adjustments to see how we handled it under that pressure. And I think after three auditions, and a month later I received the call, and it's been wild ever since. But I did play the role of Sebas, and I was in every dance number that you saw the sharks in, the shark men gang members in. But I say I'm like kind of like one of Bernardo's lieutenants. Like there's this scene where I'm passing out weapons and I prepare the gang, and I'm kind of like the muscle man in the movie a bit more.
Well, obviously you mentioned Steven Spielberg, and he's probably one of the most well known and legendary filmmakers working today, and just had such an incredible filmography going back. And what was it like working with someone like that, and having them direct you?
Yeah, I mean, you can just imagine just the intimidation or the clout, notoriety that he has with him. It's like entering that space. It's like, wow, you really have to take on board that like he wants me there. He thinks I can make his movie better. So it becomes a partnership. I remember saying thank you to him. Like, thank you for having me here. Thank you. He was like, thank you for bringing what you're bringing. Thank you for elevating this thing. Like the biggest pleasant surprise for me was Steven's energy. Like his generosity of spirit. He would invite us under the director's tent to watch playback. He would be like a little kid, giddy, like making this movie. It was a dream of his to do. Like since he was a kid, he loved West Side Story. And this, I remember him saying this will be his like only musical he'll ever do. This is the only one he ever needed to do. So first and only. So it really is once in a lifetime.
Wow.
And we would walk on stage and he would shake our hands and call us by our names and welcome us on set and chat with us between lighting changes and getting prepared for the next scene. Like, he was just there with us. He shared it with us. He wasn't just, this presence that told us what to do. It was amazing.
That's incredible. And that's always the best kind of director, is like you said, when it's a partnership, because,
exactly. Any actor, no matter where they are in their careers, will tell you that that's how he is. He really creates that partnership.
In America right now, there's been a lot of conversation about representation in the arts and in entertainment and such. And I remember, when this film was in development and as it's been coming out, that representation was very important to Spielberg, and that he said that was something he was really focusing on, when he was in the casting process and just in the development of it. And, as a Latino actor, I was wondering if you could kind of maybe give your perspective on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel so honored and privileged to be able to represent my community in this film, Mm-hmm. And I felt that motivation in the rehearsal process and on set. They hired a Puerto Rican acting coach, dialect coach for us. And he, we had other actors born in Puerto Rico, and they really helped support, like, I'm Cuban American. So they helped support me to bring myself a bit more of Puerto Rican flair, Puerto Rican authenticity. And the coach was there to help us with the dialect, with the energy, with what was appropriate in that time as a Puerto Rican to be saying, and not bring any kind of modern colloquialism into the mix. And then also, I'm not going to give any sneak peek. People have to go see the movie, but they have added very authentic cultural aspects to the movie that I think when a Puerto Rican goes to see it will become very emotional, because they will feel their country, their state, their culture represented. And in the movie, there's more Spanish, you hear more Spanish, and it feels, grounded within the script. And you get a taste of different dynamics within the Latino community in the movie. So it becomes an educational experience as well. It touches on the politics of that time, and the cultural dynamics, and some of the conflict that was happening within those spaces. So it's not only an adventure, but it's a learning experience. I have been blessed enough to, like, my first Broadway show was West Side Story, and they were calling for young, authentically Hispanic dancers who could sing and act. And I checked all those boxes. So I went into a space being called to be exactly what I was. Then my second show was all about being yourself and being individual, bringing your own individuality into it. And that was that one. Honestly, on Broadway as a dancer in the ensemble, I have always felt welcomed and celebrated. And I am now making the shift into TV and film. And, we're in a time right now that it is important to be bringing this authenticity forward. It is important to be showing diversity within stories.
Yeah, I think that's cool, because at the end of the day, it's just presenting things as they are, it's like, diversity is America, going back all the way, so yeah. Going back a little bit to West Side Story, if there was one or two things that you would like a viewer, who's maybe going in for the first time to experience this musical, they've never seen the show, they don't know anything about it, but they go in and see it. If there was one or two things that you would like them to come out of the picture, picking up on, what would you like that to be?
I mean, honestly, the message, it's like you have these two gangs who basically are fighting for the same thing, but have chosen to fight with each other because of differences. So I would love to take that. I would love for them to take away, the power in coming together and listening to the other side and in trying to find solutions. Essentially all the qualities that come out of a base loving nature, listening. Can we listen to each other? Can we find common ground? Can we lift each other up? Because we thrive under community. So hopefully they get that out of it. And also, I hope they all leave just like bopping away to some America, honey. to some Latino beats and flares,
Mm-hmm.
Once they think back fondly on it and just show, Steven does an amazing job of showing that just because it's a musical doesn't mean it's not going to have substance or be driven by story entirely. There is not a dance move. There's not a word sung that is not propelled forward by story. That's what makes West Side Story great, but that's also what makes Steven Spielberg great and how he made this movie.
It's very true. When it comes to musicals, that when you think back to some of the greatest ones, that we've seen on screen or on stage, always the ones that we think back on are the ones propelled by story, that have a narrative that's pushing, the numbers forward and everything, because if you have too much of maybe just the music or too much of just the story, then you lose a little something, but like you said, if you're bopping along to the music and you're feeling your heart pulled by that story, it's a good thing.
Exactly. And I think that's what people are going to feel watching this thing.
Great. No, and a bit of a fun question. I was looking on your Instagram and I noticed that you had a picture with Whoopi Goldberg and I felt like there was probably a story with that. And so I wanted to ask you about that.
Oh, well, Whoopi Goldberg, she is awesome. I mean, talk about a big old spirit that's just so generous and loving. She came and saw that show head over heels. I'm actually doing that for Reimagine production here in Pasadena right now. Actually, I have a show tonight, but on Broadway, she came and saw it and she just loved it. She loved how colorful it was. And she ended up sending us, I think it was gourmet donuts from Brooklyn or something, or pies.
Awesome.
Another donuts or pies. And she was like, y'all are the sweetest. You deserve everything. And she sent us these desserts and they were so good. But she was just so generous of spirit. She was like your best friend. Like,
I always feel like that just when I see her on screen or whatever, like you said, a very, very kind, boisterous person, my first introduction to her was with Star Trek. And so,
Yes.
I haven't heard of that one stage play, Head Over Heels. What is that one about?
Oh, it's such a beautiful, it's literally like, oh my gosh, it's actually like the complete opposite of West Side Story. It's, it's queer centric, hence the fingernails, and it's all about inclusivity. It's all about being yourself. It's about shining bright in your authenticity, and about transformation. Like, this family goes on a major epic journey of fantasy, and along that journey, each and every single one of them find some transformation within them. And it's so much about gender representation and diversity, non-binary representation, and just everything queer and everything celebratory. It's iambic pentameter English mixed in with the Go-Go's, the music of the Go-Go's, and it works. It's a party. So it's just, it's actually really wild to be like seeing West Side Story, such a story about, the perils of racism and suppression, and then at night go do a show where it's all about inclusivity, finding yourself, and just shining bright and supporting each other. It's like, wow. But I love that I can do and experience both at the same time. It's incredible.
That's incredible, man. Oh, so where can people, like follow you online or find out what you're up to?
Yeah, thank you. They can always follow me on Instagram at Yurel, Yurele. And I keep everyone posted via that platform mainly.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm very excited to get this interview out, and I really appreciate, like I said, taking the time. I enjoyed our conversation very much.
Yeah, likewise, Byron. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. Yeah. And, I look forward to hopefully talking with you again with your next project. So.
Awesome. I love it.
All right. Yeah. And I'll say break a leg with your performance tonight. So.
Woo, appreciate it.
All right. You have a great rest of your day today.
All right. You too. Take care.